Hi everyone, I'm Ashley Burnett. I am getting ready to go into a segment here in just a few minutes on Down Home with Ashley that's a little bit more somber content. We're going to be talking about human trafficking, and I just want to make you aware of that ahead of time. So if you have any sorts of triggers or need to stop this video, I'm letting you know in advance. But I do think that it's a topic that's very worthy of our conversation and attention. And I hope you will join me in just a few minutes as we learn more, if you're able to do so. Also, if you are a business owner or if you live or work here in Sevier County, I would encourage you, if you can, to watch this segment and become more informed about this issue. So we've had a great day here at the studio. We've had a lot of fun, and we're just going to bring it down a notch. I appreciate you all joining me. I'm looking forward to talking with you more in just a couple of minutes. Bob, go ahead and roll intro. Hi everyone, I'm Ashley Burnett. A lot of you know me from my work with Mountain Hope Good Shepherd Clinic, where we treat those without medical insurance and offer quality medical and dental care. Many of you also know me as a realtor with Britton Real Estate. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, of course I would love to talk to you, and my number's at the bottom of the screen. But right now we are going to focus in on being a talk show host, and I am absolutely blessed that I get to choose a lot of the content that I talk about here, and today I think the content is really, really important. So thank you for joining me on Down Home with Ashley. Again, if you didn't see the preface to this video, we're going to be talking about human trafficking, so please be aware of that in case you need to pause your screen. But before you do that, just because I know people want these, Bob has given me some t-shirts to give away. If you would like a t-shirt, go ahead and comment on the video that you want the t-shirt, and I will be giving one of these away, so I'll be pulling a name out of the hat a little bit later on. Let me know you want a t-shirt. But now back to the topic at hand. I'm absolutely honored to have Natalie Ivy here with me with the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. Got that right?
Yes.
Natalie is doing some amazing work. Your organization is doing really good things. A topic that's horribly uncomfortable for most of us.
It is, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the coalition.
Sure.
And what you all are doing. One, to bring attention to the issue.
Sure.
And then I know that you also are involved in helping victims.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. So we are a nonprofit that's based, we're in Knoxville, but we serve all of East Tennessee. And we do that a number of ways, one of which is providing outreach and education regarding the issue of human trafficking. And this is such a crucial component of our mission because there are a lot of misconceptions about human trafficking, which not only are not healthy for our community to have, but it also contributes to the cycle because if we don't know what to look for, we're certainly not going to be seeing it, and we're not going to be prepared to respond to it.
Right.
So we go out, sometimes I coin myself a professional Debbie Downer because I go out and talk to folks and we do bring it down a notch. It's not a fun topic to talk about. And so we're really grateful that our community is eager to learn and feels that social responsibility to be informed and be empowered about this topic in particular. And then another component of our mission is providing direct services to survivors of human trafficking. So we currently do that throughout East Tennessee, and we're getting ready to expand that in a pretty dramatic way because we're going to be opening our emergency receiving center in Knoxville. And we'll have 4 beds there for trafficked individuals to come out of trauma and into a safe place. And hopefully we can improve the quality of services that we're providing to them.
All right. You guys are absolutely doing some great work.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing. And those of us who live and work in this community, in Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, Gatlinburg, we're a tourism-based industry. So many of us are on the front lines every single day. What should we be looking for?
Sure. Well, the important thing to understand is this is very rarely that snatch and grab kind of urban legend that we read about on Facebook. You know, that so-and-so was shopping and barely got away from the scary people looking that were standing by the big white van. In reality, what this is are relationships that have devolved into a pretty serious form of exploitation. And when I say relationships, unfortunately, that might mean boyfriend or girlfriend, but it might also mean family member. And that familial form of trafficking is actually the most common form of trafficking that we see in rural communities. So that is a very disturbing component of this type of victimization, but very important that we understand what to look for and what to consider to be trafficking situations. So in general, what we tell our public when they are out working with people is to be aware of injuries that are in multiple stages of healing. So if you've got a fresh bruise and a cut that's looks like it's scabbed over and has been healing for a couple days, that might be an indicator. You might see someone who, if you have the opportunity to see them kind of on a regular basis, maybe wearing the same clothes or carrying a backpack that, kind of has everything they own in that backpack. We occasionally will hear from folks who see, particularly maybe with a younger population, see what we call a shadow, or somebody constantly standing behind them. And that shadow might not necessarily be what we would think is a stereotypical pimp. It may look like an older sister. It may be, maybe, they say they're their neighbor, their cousin. But you're talking about seeing an individual who's not allowed to speak for themselves, or if they're speaking, someone's always listening or watching. That also is a pretty big red flag and indicator. And the reality is, unfortunately, human trafficking blends in really well. Traffickers work really hard to make sure that it does, because that contributes to their business. So I can't oftentimes give a perfect formula for what human trafficking is going to look like. But what we talk about is just kind of collecting those red flags. And ultimately, when we talk to folks in the public, particularly those who remember an incident, they'll talk about that gut punch feeling, that feeling that something's not right, something's not normal in the situation that they're watching. And it may not even be overtly criminal, but it's something that makes them uncomfortable. And so when that happens, we want to make sure that our community knows who to call and knows that they need to call, because there is an actual hotline number that can collect all of those weird feelings. It doesn't even have to be like 911, that an emergency is going on. You can call the hotline number and just say, I saw this and it made me uncomfortable. I'm not sure what it was, but...
So you don't need actual proof of a crime.
Exactly.
You may be really helping someone. You may be saving a life.
Absolutely.
Simply because that gut instinct kicked in and you're willing to call someone.
Absolutely.
So can you give us that number?
Yeah. And so the TBI hotline number for human trafficking is 1-855-55-TN-HTH. So that's TN, Human Trafficking Hotline.
Okay. And we will put that up as well.
Yes.
Later on after the segment airs, so that folks can find it.
I always want to say too, we don't ever want to encourage the public to insert themselves in any type of situation. Particularly with this crime, it's a very violent crime, it's very dangerous, but it's also very deep. And so it's almost impossible that inserting yourself is going to help anyone. It's more likely that you're going to cause harm to yourself or others. What we would ask is that you be observant. Pay attention to what you're seeing. Look for details about what they're wearing, what car they're driving, all of those things, and then give that information to the hotline number.
Right. And I know we had talked about the fact that there are some sort of vigilante types out and about who are doing some of those things that, while they may have a good heart, they think that they can help in some way, it is extremely dangerous to put yourself into a situation where harm could come to either you or someone else. So please be careful out there. All right, Natalie. A lot of people think of human trafficking as sexual trafficking. It's not always that.
No.
So tell us the other things human trafficking can be.
So human trafficking consists of sex trafficking and labor trafficking. So those are the two components of human trafficking under the Tennessee Code. So what we want to make sure our public understands is that sex trafficking talks about a commercial sex act, and that's an exchange, some kind of transaction going on, and that's what differentiates that crime from other types of crime. And if we're talking about a minor being involved in that activity, then it doesn't matter if the minor says, oh, I totally agree to do this, because under Tennessee law, minors can't consent.
Right.
But if we're talking about an adult being involved in that activity, if you have another individual who is forcing that person to engage in that behavior, and they can be forcing them a number of different ways. So this is one of the big misconceptions, and kind of ties into that snatch and grab urban legend.
Right.
Is really, it's not about active kidnap victims. It's not about people in handcuffs or with tape over their mouth or being locked in a dungeon somewhere. What it oftentimes is some form of blackmail or some form of control. So particularly if we're talking about familial trafficking, if your mom is your trafficker, she may have some level of power and control over you and is forcing you or coercing you to engage in that behavior. And so it's important that we understand that, because that type of control isn't obvious. And if we're only looking for handcuffs or tape over our mouth, then we're not ever going to see a victim of human trafficking. But if we consider all of those other ways that you might be coercing someone to do something, we might be a little bit more observant about what's going on, particularly with the dynamics. So that relates to sex trafficking. And then labor trafficking is very similar. It can be carried out a number of different ways. And again, we're not talking about people in handcuffs or tape over their mouth. What we often see in our community is exploiting vulnerable populations, and they may be vulnerable for a number of different reasons. They can't go to the authorities because of whatever issues are present, and because of that, their employer doesn't pay them fairly or doesn't follow the same laws and regulations that other employers follow. So, we see that throughout our area too, unfortunately.
Okay. How prevalent is human trafficking in this area?
It's really hard to get black and white numbers on this, because it's difficult for victims even to identify that they're victims of human trafficking and then to disclose and get the help that they need. Our most recent needs assessment statewide was done in 2010, so it's been a little while. Yeah. And in that time, for example, Knox County had 100 cases of human trafficking in 1 year. We know that number is probably low, and it's probably much higher. We also know statistically that rural communities, demographically rural communities, are high risk for sex trafficking. So we always want to raise that awareness for folks, because there's that conception of small town, safe, and everybody, so bad things aren't going to happen here. When in reality, small towns can really be big targets for this type of crime. So the prevalence, it's very hard to say number-wise, but we know through the services that we provide that it's happening every day in our community.
All right. So if I'm an employer or if I own a business, what should I be doing to make sure that my employees and associates know what to look for and who to talk to?
Sure. So we really encourage everybody to be informed about this issue, because that's one of the first ways we're going to combat it, is making sure that we have an informed and engaged community. We provide trainings free of cost to all different types of professions. So it ranges all the way from what we call kind of the H2 101, which is our basic training, up to very specialized trainings for specific professions. So we have specialized trainings for hospitality folks, for hotel employees, for public transportation employees. We're speaking at the State Transit Conference next week, I think, to provide that type of training. We do training for educators, for foster parents, for medical professionals, for legal professionals, obviously for law enforcement. But we try to we do training for real estate agents and in-home service providers, but we try to give specialized focus to professions that we know have a high rate of intersecting human trafficking. So the first thing you can do is give us a call, and we'd be happy to come out and do that training, and like I said, free of cost, but it certainly is a proactive response instead of trying to react to a bad situation. And
a great resource for the community here.
Yeah, we hope so. We want to serve our community in any way that we can, and we're kind of happy to do that and hear any feedback that our community might have.
So if you're a business owner, if you manage a business, please go ahead and take down Natalie's number, or you can contact her through Facebook. It's
absolutely.
the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking,
yes.
Which is quite a mouthful, but they do have a Facebook page, and Messenger is how I got in touch with Natalie. So very, very easy to reach out and get an answer, and maybe have some training for your frontline staff. So your training aspect is a wonderful thing for the community. But because of the training that you offered for so long, you found another need.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that need is to take care of victims as they're coming out of trafficking situations. Tell us what that's like.
So we have a direct services branch of our agency, and that's called Grow Free Tennessee. And I'm not involved in that area, which is probably a good thing, because we have professionals who are excellent at doing that type of work. And so we currently are all throughout East Tennessee, in a lot of different communities in East Tennessee, working with survivors who have either identified through the criminal justice system or have self-identified and given us a call. And we do a number of different services. Chantel Standifer is our Director of Survivor Services and does a fantastic job. And so much of what she does is connecting them to community resources, to helping them kind of reclaim their place in society. And so that looks different for every survivor and based on their needs. And so she works really intensely with them. Sometimes that means helping them find apartments, finding jobs. Sometimes it means finding them a new city to live in.
Right.
And we have a great volunteer program. It's called our Allies program. And so we have volunteers who have committed and who are willing to walk with these survivors just through regular life. So, go grocery shopping.
So very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
For someone who's coming out of an abusive situation, to have a voice to hear at the other end of the line, or someone to call if something happens. If you're interested in volunteering, I know that Natalie and her team would love to talk with you about that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have a great, and so much of what we do is because of the community we serve. Knoxville and East Tennessee is really impressive in their response to human trafficking, and we're very grateful for that. We couldn't do what we do without our community, so we really appreciate that.
All right. Is there anything else, Natalie, that you think folks need to take away? I know we haven't had a long time to talk.
Yeah.
But if we've got viewers out there who are wondering, wow, this is scary, I don't want this in my backyard. What do you want to tell those folks?
Well, I think it is scary, but I would encourage you not to be discouraged by how heavy this topic can feel. And the only way to really deal with it is to have the conversation. So to not shy away from it, to shine the light on the issue. And so much of that is talking about it. And I always say, if you don't want to be the Debbie Downer at your club, I'll come and be the Debbie Downer. You don't even have to do anything except give me an invitation. But we need to be talking about it, and we need to be aware, and we need to be ready to respond. So much of it is about knowing what to do next. If I know what to do next, I feel empowered. And so we want to make sure we are empowering our community.
So again, if you come across a situation, maybe you're thinking of a situation right now that you're not quite sure about, and you just want to talk it over with someone, again, we urge you not to insert yourself in a situation in any way, shape, or form. But one more time, Natalie, what is the number where folks can call?
Absolutely. So you can call the Tennessee hotline number, that is 1-855-55-TN-HTH, or you can give our agency a call. Our office is open during business hours during the week, and that is 865-236-1046.
So I want to thank you again.
Oh, thanks for having me.
For the work you're doing. It's so very important. Thank you all for joining me. Again, I would encourage you to share this video, let people know that there's a resource in the community to talk about this topic. And again, I want to thank you for joining me and being here to listen to something that's so very important, not just to our community, but communities throughout this nation. This is something we need to be aware of, we need to be on top of, and it's something we just can't shy away from. Thank you again. Take care. I'll see you soon.